A proper good afternoon, everybody. And as you can see from this beautifully prepared slide that you have on the screen in front of you today, we are doing the second part of the active and passive voice. And your presenter is me. Let us carry on and see if the computer behaves today. There we go. It's behaving very nicely. Now, obviously, this is just a reminder of yesterday's one. When the active voice, the action, the doing is done by the subject, and conversely, I'm out of the meeting. There, I'm back on again. Could somebody give me an idea if you can hear me?
We can hear you, Mr. Osborne.
Excellent. Let's carry on. When we have a sentence then in the passive voice, then the action, as you can see there, is done by the objects. And the reason it's called the passive voice is that the subject becomes passive and does nothing. But that's merely for interest. Now, you'll see in the sample sentences at which we are about to look, both the tense and the voice of the sentences are determined by the use of auxiliary verbs. And I've put a note there, the auxiliary verbs are the little helping verbs. You will see in the presentation that they are all in italics, just to bring them to your attention. Here also, active voice. This is by far the most form or the most common voice in English, because you will see from the sample sentences, sometimes the passive voice becomes totally mangled, impossible to use. And then the purpose of the passive voice, when it is used effectively, it changes the focus of the sentence. I'll repeat that. It changes the focus of the sentence from the person or the thing doing the action into the person or the thing receiving the action. To flood you with the things. Subject in order to get it right. Then we'll go to the past tense. Now you can see this is a regular verb because you simply add ed onto the end of it to make it into past tense. And in the passive voice, it comes out as I was helped by you. Very simple, very clear. Okay, in the future tense, and here's our first of our auxiliary verbs. Please note there, the will is an auxiliary verb. You will help me. And then you've got in the passive voice, of course. Now remember that I takes shall in as the auxiliary verb in the future tense. And you've got here two auxiliary verbs. I shall be helped by you. You notice by. It's in every passive voice sentence. Now we get our perfect tenses. I'm showing this to you just as a way of introducing you to them. I'm not going to speak about them today, except to show you why they sometimes go wrong in the passive voice. But there we are, your present perfect tense. You have helped me. Very straightforward. present perfect tense in the passive voice, I have been helped by you, right? Your past perfect, you had helped me. And in the passive voice, I had been helped by you. Perfectly straightforward. Future perfect, you will have helped me. And then, of course, in the passive, I shall have been helped by you. So far, so good. Very easy. You just switch around. In each case, you switch around the subject and the object, and you insert your auxiliary verbs wherever necessary. Let's take a look at a second sample group of sentences. This is now, instead of in the simple form, it's in the continuous form. Just a reminder, the continuous form can sometimes also be referred to as the progressive form, but that's not strictly relevant to this presentation. Let's take a look here. Again, in our primary tenses. Now, remember that this is in the continuous form, and in the present tense, it will be, you are helping me. Now, always in the continuous form, you're going to get ing being used. That is a constant. Right, and in the passive voice, it comes out as I am being helped by you. Please note the word by always in the passive voice. Good. In the past tense, you were helping me. Oh, that sounds good. And in the passive voice, I was being helped by you. There we are. We're getting some good information here. In the future tense, active voice, you will be. You notice all the auxiliary verbs piling up here. There's becoming more and more of them. You will be helping me. And in the passive voice, I shall be being helped by you. Now, it's at this point that things start going wrong because there's too many auxiliary verbs. This is grammatically correct, but it sounds awful. It's very clumsy, cumbersome. There's a lovely English word, uneuphonious, which means it's not nice to hear. Let's go to our perfect tenses, and we've got here the present perfect. You have been helping me, okay? Two auxiliary verbs. In the passive voice, you've got I have been being helped by you. Please note by, all the way through. Past perfect, you had been helping me. And in the passive voice, in the past perfect, it's I had been being helped by you. Cumbersome. It's really bad sounding, but here comes the granddaddy of them all. In the future perfect, you will have been helping me. Okay, straightforward. But I shall have been being helped by you. And that, to my mind, having 4 auxiliary verbs all in a row sounds absolutely appalling. And that's why we don't use a passive voice as much as we use the active voice. Then some notes here. In a passive voice sentence, it says here, often the object is not included. This is because it's simply not necessary. Let's take a look at 3 examples of this. In the passive voice, in the active voice, you've got this here. You must pay this account within a week. Now, let's put it into the passive. This account must be paid within a week. And that's, you can stop at that point. You don't have to write by you. It's understood from the context. All right. Then here's another example. The goalie skillfully deflected the ball past the post. Okay, now that's in your active voice. Now let's look at it in the passive voice. Take a look here. The ball was skillfully deflected past the post. You can see that as the announcer going on with such great enthusiasm about this exciting game. The ball was skillfully deflected past the post, and then he'll carry on. He won't actually say by the goalie, although that's what it means. And a final one. The waiter served the food quickly and efficiently. Okay, that's your active voice. And we put it into the passive. The food was served quickly and efficiently. That's it. You will understood it was served by the waiter because that's what waiters do, and that's who the food is always served by. It's by whom the food is always served. Sorry. There we are. Okay. Well, I'm not going to say goodbye quite yet. I've got one more thrilling slide to put up for you. And here it is. Take a look at that and see if you can do that. 10 multiple choice questions, and I'm absolutely certain you will both enjoy the task and do very well indeed. From me, then, I'm going to say thank you. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you learned something, and goodbye.